here. If you're not familiar with the Weather Service, I'm sure you are. It's your weather service, and we're here to support you. And our main mission is for safety, and then it also protect not only your lives but your property. And it really falls. I mean, avalanches you wouldn't have them without the weather conditions. And so our role forecasting weather conditions is pretty crucial when it comes to avalanche community. So I appreciate the opportunity to come here. I'm not going to have any cool avalanche videos, sorry. I should have looked into meteorology a little bit more. It is cool when the weather's happening, but my job involves, shift work 24/7. So, when I did your weather forecast for avalanche, I'm working a midnight shift. If I would consider that, I would much rather go into the avalanche part. But anyway, so glad to be here. I've actually been up here 6 or 7 years. I had the opportunity to work with Janet several years ago, and then also Chris and Simon, and now Scott. And I've also worked quite a bit with Baldy, and I've had a chance to work with Rich and now Scooter. And so we come up every spring and just kind of talk about what products we have and what we can do to enhance our products so that they can have a better idea, so they can just zone in a little bit closer and really forecast those avalanche conditions based on our weather forecast. So if you haven't been to our page, it's weather.gov. And so if you click on just Southeast Idaho, so if you just click right in here, Blaine County and such, those are actually zones that are up there. But if you click on Southeast Idaho, go to our weather page. There's 212 weather services across the nation. And so we each have our own web page. And, 122, I got that confused. 122 offices. And we'll go to our page, and I'll kind of show you where all our products are housed. Plus, Scott has links on his page. So again, if you click on Southeast Idaho, you go weather.gov/PIH, and you'll come to our page. And on the left-hand side, under current conditions, there's snow and avalanche down at the bottom, 3 or 4 more down. And that's where you're going to find all the information that we have linked for you for different spots. We've really focused pretty heavily on working with the Sawtooth Avalanche Centers on their avalanche forecast points. If you aren't familiar, how many of y'all use this page? So I want to just go to the little skier, guys. So go down just a little bit. So first of all, when you get here, you can look and see. Let's just scroll just a little bit. Okay, so right just to start with, you can see if we have any avalanche warnings in effect. Of course, we just disseminate the warnings. It's Sky here and his crew that's going to actually be issuing those, and then you can get right to his avalanche advisor. There's a link there over here on the right. And then also, what our big product we do is Avalanche Guidance. We call it the SAC, and we have that out by 4:30 in the morning. Every time we'll give it a little introduction with a discussion, and then the 5 forecast points that he has, we'll actually go through. Hopefully, when we're doing this is the one product that we're actually hand editing. When we go through our forecast package, we do it twice a day. The reason we do that is the computer models will run twice a day based on when they send up the soundings. So they'll send up the actual soundings out of Boise, and there's actually like 60 to 70 spots where they'll actually send up the real-time soundings. So I'll put that into computer models, rerun the computer models, and so that's why we kind of do the forecast package twice a day. And then this is when we're doing we'll brand that forecast package, and then we'll go on and run the SAG. And we'll make any tweaks that we need to off of this, but this is really mostly will be ran off of our forecast package. And there's thousands of grid points in our area that we forecast for. So I'll go into it a little bit and talk about some of the grid points and stuff like that. But the bottom line, this is all the elements that we forecast, cloud cover, preset type, and such. And then we added some new products this year, the probabilities. So we put in the QPF probabilities of 0.25, 0.50, and 1.0. And have not yet seen the 100% on the 1.0 yet, but I know it's coming. Not this year probably, but next season hopefully. So anyway, that just kind of gives you an idea what we do. We do that for each of the forecast points that Scott has set up. When I first started, we only had a couple forecast points. We've now expanded those forecast points, and Scott has got a weather instruments and stuff for each of these forecast points. And I actually had the opportunity to go up and help with Bitch and Vienna and put those in this last summer. So Jeremy from our office, he's our IT guy, he came up and helped, as well as I know several of you guys I recognize were there helping put in those stations as well. So one thing I want to mention it, this year I actually came and talked to a couple other people. We talked to the Helsky, and we actually, I thought I saw Joe here from Untitled Chapter, yeah. So we came and talked to him as well, and so if you're a group or yourself, and when I come up here every spring, if there's some things that we can come talk to you, I actually bring, when I come to spring, I bring 3 of our forecasters, 3 or 4 that are actually putting these forecasts out, and not only putting the forecast out for the snow amounts for all these forecast points, but like I said, they're also doing it for the valley and such. So if we could come and talk to you guys, if we can help, and we actually, if there's any products we could do that would help the Avalanche community that you see that you'd like to see us develop, we can certainly do that as well. Like I said, I generally always bring my IT guy because generally my answer is sure, we can do that. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, okay. But we've actually ran model. We have a local model that we run. It's called the WARF. It's the Weather and Research Forecasting Model. We have a modeler in our office. And he runs that, and we actually have come up with multiple products, which I'm going to show here eventually, hopefully, that we've actually, based on y'all's request of the years, of those main groups that I've talked to, have made these products and help for each of these forecast points. Well, anyone have any questions to start with?
Go ahead, Judge.
I was just going to comment that we use the WARF model from the UW
Awesome.
quite a bit, quite extensively for highway forecasting.
And what, and being able to plug into the WARF, you actually can really zoom in a much finer scale than a lot of the other models that we use, and you can really get some fine detail out of that.
How long did you forecast the big snowstorm down south?
Pretty well. It was a little complicated. I actually wasn't working. I was on spring break. We were in Park City. However, so I don't want to put it off. They did have a warning out in the Snake River Plain, and that did not pan out. The snow levels, as you can well tell, are hard, and so it did actually put actually a half an inch of QPF, but most of that was rain in the Snake River Plains. We actually had a warning out in Snake River Plain. That did not pan out. All the warnings elsewhere did pan out. There was 14 inches, 18 inches, a lot of different locations. So those all panned out quite well. All right, yeah.
How about cloud seeding? Were you following that and made any observations on?
No, I noticed that I was informed last time I was here that there's up at Vienna. There's several projects going up there. May have more on that than I do. Are you with the power companies that are doing it?
Yep, that's us. That's up there. Untitled Power. We are running a cloud seeding operation here in the Wood River. It was based off of the Big Wood Irrigation Company stepped up, and we were running similar projects in the Payette Basin and out east, and they were wondering if we could do it for them too. And so with the partnership with local water users and then with the power company, we've started to implement both med equipment and cloud seeding equipment around the basin. So,
what's your take at this point as far as the results with the season? Are you monitoring that and following?
we do. It's hard to do individual storm by storm. We're into modeling the storms. We're running the WARF model at the University of Arizona, and then with the National Center for Atmospheric Research, we're developing a clustering model. So that actually fits into the WARF model, and it puts the seeding solution into it, and it grows the snowflakes within the cloud and the deposits. And we're showing relatively good results. We don't know until the season's over, but it's on average of what we've seen in target control analysis in the Payette Basin and stuff. Through the longevity of our projects there that started in 2003, we're showing about a 14% increase in precipitation. And that's an average, so year in, year out, it can change up and down, depending on the storms you have and that sort of thing. But over time, that seems to be what we're able to get. Here, it won't be that much. We're not implemented. We don't have the cloud seeding generators to the extent that we do in the Payette. So we're not able to seed as much as we do there. But yeah, we'll get there.
You mean as much area?
Yeah, it's much area. Just
Not
the
as
density to get here. Yeah, it takes us a while to implement all around. We only have so much personnel, so you can't just jump in there and put 15 up in a matter of a couple
it's a process.
Yes.
Is
And
there
how,
any public resource on where they are, like someone's map on the internet, where you're like, oh, okay, you know, to see where they're
No, we do have maps that we give out to those interested. We don't, we try not, they're on private land, and so we don't try to let people know where they are, mainly for, we don't want a bunch of people going on someone's private land and looking at it, or they get all the coordinates, they go up and steal 30 solar panels or something like that. So, just for some of that we try to put it out.
so how do you gauge that 14%
That
improvement?
That comes out of a target control analysis that we've developed. It's more rudimentary. You look at, before any cloud seeding happens, you look at snow calcite gauges within your target area, and you look at outside the target area, and then you build a relationship. And so then you look at years after cloud seeding happens, and you can use the ones on the side of the target area, and you expect so much to happen inside of the target area, and then that difference. Year to year, there can be wide variances of what you actually think, but over time, it should start to get a good average. And then what we're seeing with our work modeling, we're within in the ballpark with that too. So we're doing a lot of sampling, trying to verify the work model to make sure it's accurate. This past week we were actually flying helicopter flights, and then we're basically sampling snowpack in different ranges around, and then we'll take that into BSU and run through a mass. We'll run those samples through a mass spectrometer to try to find the seeding agent within the thing. And then from the model that we have, we can deposit that much snow, and then we can start to match up to see if the model actually follows it. So there's a lot of different possibilities that we're trying to verify what's actually there.
So I just want to show you a little bit. If you scroll a little bit down more on that page, you'll get right to here to these skiers. If you click on those skiers, each of those blue skiers are the five forecast points. And one thing I do want to mention, just so you know, I've actually also been working with Utah Avalanche Center, and we've actually, to the point where we're actually sending warnings now for them in the Wasatch. And we just now, this last week, met with Richard Teton. And a lot of their forecast area actually bleeds into Idaho and our area as well. So we're going to be starting disseminating their warnings, and we're going to be doing a lot of the same products that I'm going to be showing you that we do for you guys. We're going to actually start for those two Avalanche centers as well. And so if you go back to just say go back. Let's go to Bali here real quick. And I just want to show you some of the things that are there. If you don't know that they're there, you can actually click on observations. Well, you can just show them what's there. So that it actually shows you the real-time data. And if you didn't know that was there, so like I said, each of these forecast points actually has observations, and that makes it really useful for us. They didn't initially, not all of them, and it makes it really useful for us in making as accurate forecast for you guys as possible. And if you go to the forecast matrix here, this is a product that is from what we put out on our grids and our forecast. This is what comes out of it, and so you can actually get that for each of the forecast points. So you can, a lot of these you may not understand, the scattered or few, but I actually are going to put up some information on there so you can actually decipher that. I'll have that up this week. But just to let you know that that is available, and that's actually out for our forecast. So if you go back, and then there's the forecast discussions, and then there's several different methods that you can actually get that same forecast information that we put out, like the tabular forecast and the hourly. So that's, again, our forecast, and then has temperatures, precip, wind chill, all that stuff you have available to you for each of those forecast points. And you actually do have that on the point and click, and I'll show that a little bit. This particular product you have on the point and click. I'll go back to that later, and it'll be available to any grid point within your area, even to Boise's area. They have the same information. I'll show you some more products that we did. These are actually it's a graphical forecast based upon our forecast, and this does the weather, whether it's going to be rain, snow mix, or just snow. But I know that's what you guys really all want, snow. No rain. And then the snow levels, and then we also talk about snow amounts as well. So that's just, again, instead of clicking on our point and click, you can get it right here, and that's a kind of a more visual. So if you scroll down a little bit more, these are some of the new products that have happened this last couple of years. And I want to mention when I first started, we didn't even have a web page on this. So we really worked real closely with the Subject Avalanche Center in developing that web page throughout the last several years with all the directors that I mentioned in the past. And so here's one of the really ones I want to mention is the time series and cross sections. So let's just go to the time series. So for each forecast point for the time series, so you can see each one, the Sawtooth, Soldier, Titus, and Vienna all have a time series for them. It starts here. This is 18Z. So that was new today, and then it goes through. You can see there it goes through 31. It goes through April 1. So what it really does is this negative omega actually shows you lift, which are all these right here, and then the green is your RHs. And anything in the dark green, which is 90% above, kind of gives you a good idea if you're going to get any type of precip. And combine that with the uplift of omega, that really helps. And you do have your temperatures here, and then you have your winds. So if you go to the help button right there, everything I just said, it says it right there. And I have a little document here, and then it explains all those if you want to actually use these products. So if you scroll down a little bit more, I actually have some examples in here for some different snow events, and it showed you actually how much snow each of these events. I think I have 2 events in here, so it gives you a good idea of what it would look like on this time series if you're going to get a really good snow event. I think each of these either did 6 to 8 inches on both of them. I'll kind of show you some other products. So this is just the time series, and we have it for each of those 5. And then we also have cross sections, and I'm going to actually add one for a heliski. But these are the ones that just talking with Scott and Simon that we started. And we actually have all the peaks. So this goes from Magic Reservoir to Highway 21. You kind of see that up there. And that's just kind of a cross section. And then you can go across on the top for all the time periods. And it kind of walks you through when's a good chance, you're going to be seeing the clouds or the stronger winds or a chance of any type of precipits for that. So anyway, that's just kind of some tools that we developed. I'll show you a couple more others real quick. Yeah. So, I'll have an avalanche to show you. This is QT. Let's look at the tabular data really well. Quick, and this is just another one from the award, and it actually shows you. And this is really the Helski guys really love this. And then I actually talked to a group of the paragliders, and they really like this. And it just kind of shows you the main thing is the wind direction and wind speed. And for these different elevations, it goes from 9 all the way up to 19,000. So they found those products very helpful. And so it's also good to know for the wind blowing areas and such. And it also has all the temperatures too for your different peaks and such. So, and then it has it for, again, it's for each forecast point up across. So you can have it for all, for those 5 locations. So we'll go to the SQT. So, yeah. This was just added an hour ago or 2.
Yes. Yep.
There's no, in the help, there's no quick correlation for the Zulu time to our time, is there?
No.
So if you're not sitting at your desk where you have that chart.
That was one of the requests that we had for Baldy, and we're not going to ignore that. We're going to see if we can actually put both times on all these. And so right now it's easy, the 6-hour difference.
Yeah.
But it gets a little more complicated back when we go back to the regular time. We'll add that in there so we can have both. If any way possible, we'll figure out a way to actually have the regular time in there. So that, yeah, all the weather products are all Zulu. So again, this UT, like this is for ball. We have for each of the forecast points, and so this is actually a forecast sounding. And so we actually have real-time soundings, like I said, that we send out up twice a day at the 60, I don't remember that location, 60 to 80 locations across the nation. There's actually one in Boise. So if you want to actually see what's really happening in the atmosphere from the surface all the way up, you can actually see that twice a day. And then from that, we can have these actual forecast soundings that will step it out for the 36 hours. And so let me just kind of, if you haven't seen one of these before, really, these are all your temperatures down here, and then this is actually your tip and your dew point. And when these, could you go back to where you were originally? They were really close together. So when they come really close together, you now have a good idea that you're going to have clouds or even a chance of precip. And as these expand, you can get inversions. and then this line will go way over here, and this line will go over here, and that's substance inversions. And I won't go into a lot of detail. I will say there's training and comment ed, and then I'm actually, like I said, this product just got out today. I'll have a help button for this one too to help you read these. But they can be very useful for trying to figure out snow levels, trying to figure out you're going to have a really strong inversion with a much warmer temperatures aloft than down in the valley. I know we had one big event this year where it really kind of messed things up. It was really warm aloft, and you kind of got the cold temperatures down below. You've been to this? Excuse me. No, I just want to let you know that you can. It's a several-hour course, and it really gives you a lot of detail what SKUTs are. And anyway, I'm not going to go into much detail. I just want to show you what the products we have. And then if you go back to actually our web page, all right, these are 3 really cool products we have. Again, this is a war snow forecast from the University of Arizona. We'll have our own next season. And then there's probabilistic winter guidance here on the left. Let's just go to, I'll show you how to use that real quick. So if you want to know if you're going to get a 12-inch snow, what's the probability? So you check on accumulations greater than 12 inches. Sorry. And then just go to 6. Yeah. And then you can actually go out in time. So there's day 1 on the right there. Yeah, and just scroll out in time for day 3. And I can give you the idea. Again, it's probabilistic, showing you the chances of that occurring. And here's, 1 to 5 over here. It's not very high. You want the 95%. So anyway, that's just a nice tool also to kind of help you. We do have a probabilistic stuff that's very similar to that on the SAC that I showed you, with the 0.25, 0.5, and the 1 inch. So that gives you a really good idea as well.
With that, is that a composite of a bunch of different model runs, or what are they using to create?
It actually has some models in it, but it also has it's from the WPC, so they actually put their forecast in there as well.
Do you know what they're basing off of?
I do not. But I know they have several models they used, and then it's like we have our forecast, they have theirs as well, so they combine those together to come up with that. So if you didn't know how to point click, you can actually click on any of these spots here. So just click Sub Valley here, and you can actually get a lot of your forecast right here. And so it'll give you that's not what you want to see. You still want more snow, but our next expect system looks like it's going to be on Tuesday. So there is a chance of mountain snow again on Tuesday. It looks pretty big. But for right now, you're going to see a lot of sunshine. So if you scroll over here, this is what I'm talking about grid points. Because when we forecast, we actually forecast for everyone. That's one little grid point. So if you actually scroll over, you can click on one of these mountaintops, and it will actually move that grid point. And when we're doing the forecasts, we do every single grid we hit. So we do try to put emphasis on those 5 forecast points for the Avalanche Center, but that's pretty much what I have. You do have satellite and radar imagery on there as well near the bottom, and you actually have that hourly weather forecast. It's based on our grids and our forecasts as well. You can get all these different elements, forecast elements. So, yeah.
So what's the difference between that point forecast right there and then the SAC forecast that you do? Is it just that sort of human element that you?
Right. It's the exact same forecast initially, and then like I said, we'll run that product and we'll look at it one more time before we send it out the door. And we do make some tweaks to it because we know some of the terrain, and we know some, with certain wind directions and stuff, how it's gonna impact it. So we do make some edits, but we try to get most of our edits in our actual forecast product. So when it goes out to that grid, it actually is the most accurate as possible. But we realize, with the peaks as such, we do have to do some hand editing. So we do hand edit those 5 points, and that's key. I know Scooter here. Scooter actually showed us some of the verification from just on Baldy, and we were off on the snow, like 0.8 for the whole season for each event. That's pretty good. On average, and I think our temperatures, we were 1.1 too warm, and I think we were because we were doing the high and low, and then the snow, he was verifying those for us, and then we weren't very far off. We were like a half degree off on the low temperatures. So we can, when we post edit those, we tend to get them a little bit better, and so we can get those fairly accurate since we've been doing this for many years. Yeah?
A
Well, I was gonna ask why it snows more at Vienna, but I know the answer to that now. It's getting seeded.
Oh, you know, how many years? Just his first year he's been doing
That's
it?
the first year. And actually,
Yeah.
the benefits are usually 5 to 15 miles downwind of where the generator is. So.
And I will say that for our forecast area, Vienna has on average, I don't know how many, you pulled it up, is it 50-year average, 60-year average? It has the highest snow amount anywhere in our forecast area. I think there's maybe some areas farther north that have, in northern Idaho, that have more, but that it has a lot of snow that hits, and it's mainly the upslope effect. Yeah, that's one right there.
Well, right, so what's the terrain feature? Like,
Well,
what's
it sticks out. You know, the mountain peak goes up pretty high right there, and there's nothing. I mean, there is some stuff heading up to it, but it is the peak, and it's really good on a west flow or a west northwest flow, and you know the area much better. Is that kind of sums that up a little bit better?
Yeah, that just basically goes, from the desert for 1,000 miles down at 3,000 feet, just a nice rise up to 10,000.
And that is the peak right there. Something that goes downslope on the other end. And downslope effect you can see in the Oregon desert. It really just starts to dry things out. So it really does. It does what it, a lot of the moisture comes out right there.
But how is that different from other?
Benefits from the south flow that Baldy gets, as well as it benefits from the west flow that tends to be better for the south. So it gets the two different types of storms that differentiate our area. It gets both.
If we were to pull up a Google map terrain, you could see how it kind of funnels it in really well. And all these areas to the west are getting it really well too. But for our area, that's one of the better ones that seems to get it really well. It doesn't show it real well, but that is higher than all these other ones out in front of it on the left.
Yeah, but how is it different from anywhere else? I mean, how is it different from 10 miles to the north, where it's you've got a high point. So is it the South Fork of the Boise that's the channeling, or is it the?
Well, part of it is we have a weather station there, so that's kind of skewed it a little bit. If you had continuous weather stations at other places, I'm sure right in that general vicinity you would see high amounts as well. So that's part of it. That's the only place we have a weather station that's been recording it compared to say Baldy or we also Titus and so forth. And Baldy and Titus are much different orientations than what this one is. And so the upslope really does favor this area really well.
And how about Banner Summit?
It gets a large amount as well. Slightly below this one, but not much. It still gets the reason that I'm not talking about it so much because Banner Summit's not in my area. So, that's why I don't focus on that one. I'm just saying, as far as our area, our CW, our weather forecast area, it gets the most. But I'm sure if you compare it to Banner's right at, it's close, but not quite as much still. I've actually looked at that.
So for Vienna, is there a particular pattern that you'll watch for?
The west or the west northwest flow hit it really well. I mean, it gets it well in all patterns, but the west northwest flow doesn't get other areas as well. But as it does Vienna, Vienna favors for that one more than a lot of others like Baldy and Titus.
Right.
I think Jackson Peak actually gets as much or more snow than Vienna, but
Yeah, I mean,
and it's where a weather station is again.
Yeah, everybody understands Little Cottonwood Canyon and the orographics of Little Cottonwood Canyon and the orographics at Grand Targhee, but Vienna and the entire Sawtooth Range has mountains to the west of it, and so there's got to be some.
There's a funneling effect if you look at it. You can look at it from, it's hard to visualize and tell, but if you are actually, from this map, there is some funneling through here, there's funneling up here. It does funnel into it all. And you can't quite see it from that map, but it is happening. And with the Kyle seeding too, it doesn't take much extra to add to certain areas where other areas get not as much. And then if you look at a peak, there might be a peak actually a little bit upstream that affects certain areas in a downslope, and that's not happening with me. A lot of nuances there with terrain.
Well, what about Soldier? You know, we get tremendous winds there at peak to Soldier.
Yeah.
What causes that?
Again, when you have a northwest flow, and that's what you have right now, we were looking at those. You're getting 80 miles an hour pretty frequently right at the top there. And so I was when I first got here, I said, "Are those erroneous?" And they're not erroneous. It's a funneling effect. It's just the way it comes in. All the winds just channel in, and then they can only go in. They can only go through that gap. They're all converging right there, so it really makes it much faster, and the funneling effect in the northwest flow. Now, if you have different flows west, or if you have an east flow, it's what the models are predicting, and then it's the overall winds. It doesn't have any funneling effects or any terrain, anything extra in that. Does that make sense? It's strictly the funneling. Trust me, it really is. You've been up there many times. Do you have any more thing to add to it?
No, yeah, it's really localized to that range, as you know. Claire. I mean, you get a little further. Really, you get one ridge further to the north, and it's not windy. And it almost seems like there's also the way that Smoky Dome is, I wonder if it forms some sort of a wave, basically, and there's an acceleration effect as it comes down off of Smoky Dome over to Peak 2, because it's different on Peak 2 and Peak 1.
Quite a bit different. We used to monitor Peak 1 a lot, and then we moved it all over to Peak 2. And I've been there at 80 miles an hour, and it's not that way anywhere else.
Yeah.
If I can weather is, if I was in the plains using the models, I would be accurate, 99% of the time. You really have to know the terrain effects by the particular wind direction. Even off 10 degrees or 15 or 20 degrees can really have an impact. And so I know we've cataloged multiple terrain effects and what different flows are going to do. A southerly flow in Pocatello, I could put out a wind advisory for just some narrow channels. And even in the winter, I know I'm going to get rain in a certain area for 2 miles along an interstate. I'm going to get rain. Everything else around it is going to get snow. And it's just because of the downslope effect on the southerly wind. Now, but once that turns to a southwest, and just 30 degrees off, I know it's then going to turn back to snow. And so, and not only there, but in multiple areas, can I tell you over and over again, where the terrain has such a big impact just by the direction the wind's going to hit it. And these guys have been really good with cataloging for those 5 forecast points, really what each of those impacts are going to be, depending on what type of storm system we have. So, and I think we can, like I said, I've been pretty good about narrowing that down for you.
Does that information get fed back into the system that you're getting from those 5 points? That the actual observations you're getting from Baldy and Soldier and Titus.
Oh yeah.
That's.
In fact,
does that come out in the SAG?
It does, yeah. And in fact, I think one of the key things, and if you maybe add into this a little bit more, adding those 2 stations this last summer really helped. We were trying to forecast for the sawtooths before, and we didn't really have an actual forecast point. And now that we can actually focus in on one particular area, I'd like to think that the forecasts have gotten a little bit better for that area and understand that. Yeah. So yeah, the ground truth really does help. We look at it religiously. And in fact, one of the things I didn't mention on the SAG, we're trying to, on the Titus forecast point, we actually have a verification off the snowtail there at Galena Summit. And so we're actually trying to look at the verification for that each time, and it really, the forecasters are focusing in on that, and they are. And actually, if we get calls in, these guys are really good about saying, "Hey, we got such inches at each of these forecast points," and so we'll make the adjustments if needed based upon that input.
And that's the human.
That's the human element, and that's why for all you guys in the backcountry, it's so important for you to actually bring that ground truth back to Scott, and then it gets back to us as well. He forwards all those. I mean, we show you all the emails we've gotten over the years from everyone from the sawtooth. It's, all the input that y'all give us out in the field, we do get it back at the office. All right, thanks for having
All
me.
right,
guys.
thanks.